Okay, let's be real for a second. It feels like everyone's talking about AI these days, especially, how it's going to change the whole work thing. And honestly, it's easy to get kind of freaked out by all the predictions flying around. Like, is my job about to vanish?
Yeah, I get it. There's definitely a lot of hype and speculation out there, that's for sure. What we really need, though, is some solid data, Like, how are people actually using AI in their jobs right now? Not just, like, the what-ifs 5 years from now.
Okay, so that's where this deep dive comes in, right? We're looking at this really interesting research paper. It's from Anthropic, and they basically got to analyze millions of conversations, real people having with their AI assistant, Claude.
It's like a sneak peek behind the curtain. We get to see how folks are actually integrating AI into their work day to day.
Exactly. And I think a lot of us have this picture in our heads, right? AI taking over, like the super high-powered jobs first, doctors, lawyers, that kind of thing.
Oh, for sure. That's the classic sci-fi scenario. But you know what? The reality is it's pretty different.
So spill the beans. If it's not the fancy professions, who's using AI the most right now?
Well, the biggest surprise for me, at least, the biggest area where AI is being used is actually in, get this, software development and writing.
Whoa, really? I mean, I could see how AI could help with code or writing, but I always thought those skills were, like, superhuman,
Yeah.
Is this a sign that AI is getting more creative?
That's an interesting question. It's not necessarily about AI being creative in the way we think of it. It's more that AI is, it's amazing at patterns and rules and just processing information super fast, which, if you think about it, is a huge part of coding and writing.
Right. It makes sense when you put it like that. So does this mean all the software developers and writers out there should be worried? Are robots coming for their jobs?
Okay, so here's the thing. The study really emphasizes that it's not about AI taking over entire jobs, at least not yet anyway. What we're seeing is AI being used for, like, specific tasks within those jobs.
So instead of replacing humans outright, it's more like AI is a tool, a super powerful tool, but still a tool that humans are using.
You got it. Think of it like this. It's like having a super skilled assistant who can, speed up certain parts of your work, freeing you up to focus on the strategy, the creative stuff, the big picture.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. But even if it's not like full-on job replacement, it still seems like this AI-assisted work could really change these professions, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's why it's so important to understand how these technologies are being used now and how they might, reshape the skills that'll be in demand in the future. Like, imagine a software developer who's awesome at using AI tools versus someone who isn't. They're going to have a huge advantage.
Like a whole new set of skills is emerging. This blend of technical knowledge and the ability to work with AI.
That's exactly it. And get this, the study also found a lot of AI use in places you might not expect. We're not just talking about tech jobs here. Like, they found AI being used in creative fields, arts, design, even media.
Hold up, really? Is AI writing screenplays or composing symphonies now?
Well, not quite that advanced yet, but they give this example of AI being used for marketing strategy, which is pretty cool, like analyzing huge data sets to find consumer trends or generating different versions of ad copy, tasks that need creative thinking but also benefit from AI's speed and efficiency.
So it's like the lines between creative and technical work are getting all blurry thanks to AI.
You nailed it. And that brings us to a key point from this Anthropic research. The impact of AI is way more nuanced than just robots are taking all our jobs,
It's a whole new era of work where AI isn't just about automation, it's also about collaboration and augmentation, right?
Yeah.
But if that's the case, it makes you wonder, like, how will this affect the skills people need for different jobs?
That's the question. And luckily, the study digs into that. What they found is AI usage tends to align with a specific type of skill set.
Ooh, tell me more. I'm hooked.
Okay, so AI is mostly being used for tasks that require cognitive skills. Things like critical thinking, problem solving, programming, writing, the brain stuff.
So if your job involves a lot of deep thinking and analysis, you're more likely to bump into AI at work.
Exactly. But here's the crazy part. They found almost zero AI usage in tasks that need physical skills, like installation, equipment maintenance, anything where you need, like, dexterity and physical manipulation. Those are still human domains, for now at least.
So AI is a tool for the mind, not the body, at least for now. But it makes you think, what happens when AI can handle physical tasks as easily as it does the mental ones? That could change everything about how we work.
Yeah, that's a whole other deep dive waiting to happen. The future of robotics and how that might disrupt things even further down the line. But let's stick with the present for now. We've talked about, the types of jobs and skills being affected by AI, but there's another piece of the puzzle we can't ignore.
You're talking about the money, right? Wages.
Hmm.
And how all this AI adoption connects to earning potential.
Bingo! And that's where we see a really interesting pattern, maybe even unexpected. The study looked at the wage distribution of jobs where AI is being used. And, well, it's not as simple as you might think.
Okay, I'm all ears. Give me the scoop.
So AI usage seems to peak in, those mid to high wage jobs. But then, get this, it drops off at both ends of the spectrum. The very high-paying jobs and the very low-paying ones.
Wait, seriously. I would have guessed the top earners would be, the first to jump on the AI train.
Right. You'd think so, with all the potential for productivity and efficiency. But the study suggests there are other things going on here. They use these two specific examples, waiters and anesthesiologists.
Okay, two totally different jobs and totally different pay scales. How do they fit into this whole AI thing?
Both of them actually show pretty low AI usage, even though their incomes are so different. The study suggests this might be because of the nature of the tasks involved.
So it's not just about whether companies can afford AI. It's about whether the work itself even makes sense for AI assistance.
Exactly. A waiter's job, for example. It needs a ton of physical skill, communication, and being able to handle, unpredictable stuff. All things that are still really tough for AI to do.
And anesthesiologists, I'm guessing the high stakes and all the regulations in medicine, that probably makes it harder to bring AI into the mix.
Exactly. It's not as simple as AI is coming for everyone's jobs. It's about understanding how different jobs work and which tasks AI is or isn't a good fit for.
So even though AI is this powerful force that could reshape how we work, we got to think critically about its limitations and how different industries might be affected in different ways.
100%.
This deep dive has really shifted my thinking about AI. I was kind of nervous at first, but now I'm seeing the potential upside too.
That's great to hear. It's all about finding that balance, right? Seeing the risks, but also the opportunities.
Speaking of opportunities, you mentioned earlier that this research mainly looked at how AI is being used for, the thinking tasks. But what happens when AI can handle physical tasks just as well?
Oh man, that's the big question mark, isn't it? Imagine AI building houses, performing surgery, even making art with the same skill as a human.
It's kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, a little scary too.
It's definitely a lot to wrap your head around, but it also shows how important it is to have these conversations now, to try to anticipate the challenges and opportunities that are coming.
Feels like we're on the edge of a totally new era. And it's up to all of us to figure out how this technology shapes our lives and our work.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, this has been amazing. Huge thanks to our expert for walking us through this research. It's a complex topic, but you made it so clear.
Happy to do it. Always a fascinating conversation.
And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into AI and the workplace. Hopefully you've learned some things and maybe even started thinking about AI in a new way. The big question now is, what does all this mean for us as individuals? What can we do to get ready for this AI-powered future?
That's the million-dollar question, and one we'll be digging into right after this. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with some practical takeaways to help you navigate this whole AI revolution.
Sounds good to me.
See you in a bit.
All right, said it. All right, so before we got sidetracked there, we were talking about this idea of AI not just replacing jobs, but actually changing the whole way we work. And I'm really interested in that augment versus automate thing.
Yeah, it's a big one. Because it really pushes back against that, that classic fear of robots taking over. And what's cool is Anthropic actually categorized all those millions of conversations they analyzed into those two types, augmenting and automating.
So what's the split? Is it mostly one or the other?
What's interesting? It's almost perfectly even. 57% of the conversations showed AI augmenting work, and 43% were about automating tasks.
Wow, so they're both happening side by side.
Yeah.
Okay, I get augment and automate in theory, but can you give me a real-world example of each, just so I can picture it better?
Sure, let's say you're working on a marketing campaign, right? The augmentative use of AI might be analyzing data to give you ideas for target audiences, ones you hadn't even thought of. Or it could be generating different versions of ad copy based on, your initial concept. So the AI is boosting your team's capabilities, but humans are still making the decisions.
It's like having this super-powered research assistant. You're still the creative director, but AI just makes the whole process way faster and more insightful.
Exactly. And they found this kind of augmentation happening across tons of tasks. Writing, editing, even some really complex problem solving in scientific fields.
Okay, so that's augmenting. Makes sense. What about the conversations where AI was automating stuff? What did that look like?
Think about the things in your workday that are, repetitive or really rule-based, like formatting documents, translating text, even some coding tasks, where the instructions are super clear. That's where AI excels at automation.
So it's basically taking care of all the busy work, letting humans focus on, the higher level thinking stuff?
Exactly. And it can be a huge relief, honestly, to get rid of those tedious tasks. And the study found this happening a lot in, say, data analysis, where AI can crunch numbers and find patterns way faster than any human could.
This is making me think about my own job.
Yeah.
What am I doing that AI could handle for me so I can use my brain for the stuff that actually needs a human touch?
That's the mindset shift we need, to start seeing AI as a collaborator, not a competitor.
Absolutely. And I bet as AI keeps getting more advanced, that line between augmenting and automating is just going to get blurrier and blurrier.
Right.
Like stuff that seems superhuman today might be totally automated tomorrow.
Yeah, that's why it's so important to stay on top of these trends, right? We can't just ignore it and hope it goes away.
Right. Awareness is key.
Mm.
And this research is a great snapshot of where things are at right now. But it also brings up a ton of questions about the future. Like they compared how people were using two different Claude models. Remember, Opus and Sonnet.
Oh, yeah, those are interesting.
One's supposed to be better at the creative stuff and the other's more technical.
Yeah, that's the idea. And what's fascinating is people were already choosing the right tool for the job, even at this early stage. Like Opus, the one known for its writing style, people used it more for, content creation, storytelling, even music production.
It's like they were treating AI like a specialized team member.
Yeah.
Okay, Opus, you handle the blog post draft, and Sonnet, you go optimize this code.
It is. And then on the flip side, Sonnet, the more technical model, people were using it for coding tasks, data analysis, debugging, all that. It shows that even within AI, there's this understanding of strengths and weaknesses, just like with human teams.
This is so cool. But, okay, gotta ask, are there any, limitations to this research we should be aware of? I mean, it's based on conversations with one specific AI, right?
Yeah.
Does that really give us the whole picture?
That's a great question. And it's important to remember that this is just, one piece of the puzzle. The researchers themselves point out some limitations, like the data is from a specific time period, and it only reflects Claude's free and pro users. So it doesn't necessarily show how, big companies are using AI or what's happening with other AI providers.
We're looking through a keyhole. We see a little bit of what's going on, but not the whole room.
Perfect analogy. And another thing to keep in mind is the study doesn't tell us exactly how people are using the output they get from Claude. Are they taking AI-generated text and putting it straight into their work, or using it as inspiration for their own ideas, or just tossing it out completely?
So we know what people are asking AI to do, but we don't know the full impact of the answers they get back.
Exactly. That's where things get really interesting, and it's something future research needs to look at.
Right, so we got to be cautious about reading too much into this one study.
Yeah.
But even with those limitations, it's still super valuable. It gives us this framework for understanding these early trends in AI and some clues about where things might be headed.
Totally agree. And it also highlights the need for, more research and thoughtful discussion about the ethical and societal impacts of all this, right?
Absolutely. Coming into this deep dive, I was a little nervous, honestly.
Yeah.
But now I'm kind of excited, too, seeing all the potential here.
I get that. It's about finding that balance, right? Recognizing the risks, but also being open to the possibilities.
Speaking of possibilities, we talked earlier about how this research mostly focused on, the cognitive tasks AI is used for. But what happens when AI can handle physical tasks just as easily?
Ooh, yeah. That's the big unknown, right? Imagine AI that can build houses, do surgery, even create art with the same dexterity as a human.
It's mind-blowing. And maybe a little terrifying, to be honest.
Yeah. It's definitely a lot to think about. But it shows how crucial it is to have these conversations now, to try to figure out the challenges and opportunities that are coming down the road.
It feels like we're on the edge of this, totally transformative moment. And it's up to all of us to decide how this technology shapes our lives and our work.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps up this part of our deep dive.
Yeah, I think we covered a lot of ground today.
As always, huge thanks to our expert for guiding us through this fascinating research.
Yeah, pleasure.
And to all our listeners, thanks for joining us on this exploration of AI in the workplace. Yep. We hope this has given you some food for thought and maybe even a new perspective on the whole AI thing. Until next time, keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep the conversation going. All right, so we spent this whole deep dive, really digging into this research on how people are actually using AI at work. like right now. And wow, there's a lot to process. I keep coming back to this question, like, what does all this mean for me? How do I get ready for a future where AI is like everywhere in the workplace?
It's the question everyone's asking, right? And I think the first step is honestly just really absorbing the stuff we've been talking about. Don't just like hear the stats. Actually think about how they apply to your specific job, your industry. Like, what are the tasks you do every day that AI could potentially automate or augment?
So it's about doing your homework, basically. Staying informed about how AI is developing in your field, maybe even trying out some AI tools yourself just to see how they work.
Exactly. The more familiar you are with AI, the less scary it becomes. And remember, it's a tool at the end of the day. It's powerful, for sure, but it's up to us to decide how we use it.
That's a good point. We're not just like helpless bystanders in this whole AI thing. We have a say in how it plays out.
100%. And that brings me to another important point. Lifelong learning, it's more crucial now than ever. The skills that are in demand today, they might be totally obsolete tomorrow. So you got to be ready to adapt, to pick up new skills throughout your career.
So it's not about mastering one specific thing. It's about having that like growth mindset, being open to learning and changing as things evolve.
You got it. And it's not just about technical skills either, although those are definitely important. AI is also going to make those uniquely human skills even more valuable.
Okay, like what? Give me some examples.
Think creativity, critical thinking, complex communication, all the stuff AI still struggles with. Those are the skills that will set you apart in a workplace where AI is doing more and more.
So robots might be able to crank out reports and code, but it's our ability to, think outside the box.
Yeah.
To collaborate, to solve problems in creative ways. That's what will make humans irreplaceable.
I love that. And don't forget emotional intelligence and empathy. AI can't replicate that human connection. And those qualities are going to be so important in a world where we're working alongside machines more and more.
You know what? This deep dive has really changed how I think about AI. I came in feeling kind of apprehensive, to be honest. But now I'm seeing the potential, the opportunities too.
I'm so glad to hear that. It's all about finding that balance, right? Seeing both sides of the coin.
For sure. Oh, and speaking of potential, we talked earlier about how this research was mostly about AI doing like the thinking tasks.
Yeah.
But what happens when AI can handle physical tasks just as well?
Yeah, the million-dollar question. What does that world look like? AI, building houses, performing surgeries, creating art, all with the same skill and dexterity as a human.
It's mind-blowing. And if I'm being honest, a little bit unsettling too.
It's a lot to take in, that's for sure. But it highlights why these conversations are so important now. We need to start thinking about the challenges and opportunities that are coming.
It feels like we're standing at the beginning of something huge, this really transformative moment. And it's up to all of us to shape how this technology affects our lives and our work.
Well said. I think that's a great place to wrap up our deep dive for today.
Couldn't agree more. And as always, a massive thank you to our expert for taking us through this research. You made a really complex topic super clear and easy to understand.
It was my pleasure. I always enjoy these conversations.
And to all our listeners, thank you so much for joining us on this exploration of AI in the workplace. We hope this deep dive has sparked some new ideas and maybe even given you a fresh perspective on how AI is changing the world of work. Until next time, keep learning, keep asking questions, and most importantly, keep the conversation going.